Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first wrap up of this year if you don't count December wrap up because that was for last year's books, so it doesn't count. But yeah, first wrap up of the year, and I have new hair once again. I changed my hair again, and although it feels like I changed it very quickly, to me it feels like I had that hair for a very long time, and I want to like really go all out with the pinks and blues and purples and I just wanted to achieve maximum mermaid status. So here we are. New hair. I love it. What do you guys think of it? Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thanks. Anyway, January has been a long month, and considering how long the month was, I did not get a lot of reading done. Actually, I did read quite a lot, but somehow it feels like I did not because the month was so long and stretched out. You'll see in a minute what I mean. Anyway, let's start with the books I read this month. There are a lot of books that I started reading that I didn't really finish reading, and there's no particular reason why I did not like DNF those books, but somehow I just wasn't able to get myself to finish them. It's been a slow month in terms of like just mentally I feel sluggish as well, and that's probably the only reason why I wasn't able to sit through all those books. Like some of them I'm really enjoying like a lot, but I'm still not able to read through them at a better speed even when I have time. So hopefully I will finish those books in Feb. But for now, let's talk about the books that I did end up finishing. Starting with the first book, I read Lessons in Faking by Selena May. Now this one, honestly, I really just wanted a quick, easy rom-com sports romance, and I came across a reel for this one, and the reel sounded really fun, so I was like, sure, why not, let's give it a try. And I could tell you nothing about this book. Genuinely, ask me the names, I don't know. The plot, I don't know. The reading age, I don't know. Like genuinely, this book has been wiped out from my memory for some reason. I remember nothing about it. Like it's a sports romance. I guess he plays either hockey or football. I'm guessing. Those are the only two sports people write about. So it must be one of those. And she is a student as well. That's It's a romance between them. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's supposed to be like one of them is tutoring the other or something. I don't even know. And I think it's fake dating because the name suggests it. Like literally, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's going on. I don't remember a single thing about this book. Nothing. Because the book was just so unassuming. It was so mundane. I finished it in a couple of hours. It didn't even take me too long. But even then, the entire time I was reading it, I was like, I couldn't care less. I finished it and it was out of my mind immediately. So I don't know. I don't think this has ever happened before. I've read books that weren't, all that before, that were pretty mundane or pretty simple. But this one just refuses to sit in my memory. Like it's been chucked out so hard, it's not even funny. So that's the first book I read. The first one for this year. But moving on, I did read another interesting book that I feel like I have a lot to say about. I read I Want to Die But I Want to Eat the Bookie. I hope that's how you say it. By this author, I will not mispronounce it. You can read it right here. And it's been translated by Anton Her. So this book, if you haven't heard about it, is like part memoir, part self-help. It's about this author and her experience in therapy with a psychiatrist, and she's written down like what her experience has been, her conversations with a psychiatrist, as like a memoir but also as self-help for other people to refer to. I'm gonna be honest, I really was looking forward to reading this. I heard plenty about this last year. Jack Edwards loved this book and it sounded interesting, right? Like the title is so inviting. And in general, I will say this, I do not particularly care for self-help books. Anything that I've tried in the self-help category has usually been pretty disappointing because they're very pretentious, and it's usually the same point they go around and around in, or like the advice that's given in these books comes from a very constricted point of view. So I was a little iffy about it, not gonna lie, because I do work in the field of mental health. So I knew that I would be viewing it from that lens as well. And this book ended up being pretty disappointing, to be honest, and there's a couple reasons for it. First of all, I feel like this book was talking down to me. Like I don't know how to explain it truly, but I feel like the author, the way they've written the book, or maybe it's the way it's been translated, I don't know, it feels very like, when you read a book for toddlers where you're teaching them, oh, what do you see? You see that? That's an elephant. It starts with E. And then the Child replies, oh, okay, elephant, it starts with E. That's how this book has been written. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it feels like, it's like mental health for dummies. That's how this book has been written. It was infuriating. Like, why are you, like, it really felt like this can't be a real conversation. This can't be a real conversation between an actual person who's living and breathing and going through the human experience and a psychiatrist, because why does this seem so framed? Like it felt like, Dora the Explorer, when you're like, can you spot the mountain behind me? And the kid is like, yeah, I can see the mountain behind you. Where? That's how this book is written. I don't know. It's very, very weird. I'm very much aware that, like, most people go their entire lives on this earth without introspecting even a little bit, and don't actually think for themselves, and or have trouble like gathering their thoughts and like really putting perspective into place. And I get that, but I am the kind of person who's grown up introspecting a lot. And also, I think it might be because of my background with psychology and with mental health that I may also be a lot more aware of my behavior and what it could relate to, just the way the world works, the way people work. Again, also because of my own experience in therapy as well. It could be because of that I felt like the way this author was being in this book as a client, I was like, do you never think for yourself at all? The perspective of the author in this book, at least while we start out, is very, she views the world in a very black or white sense, and I am someone who continues to exist in the gray at all times. And it's not even that they view the world in a black and white sense, but also that they don't realize that there could be a gray area to begin with, that things aren't this or that in the world. So everything, the entire time I kept feeling like the book is talking down at me, and it's like oversimplifying things. And felt like if you were like a child who's never been in therapy and is learning about the concepts of the world and how the world works, that's who this book would be for. It was just really weird. I wrote a note over here that said that I imagine this would be helpful for people who don't understand nuance or view the world as black or white. It would be thoughtful, but to me it feels like all this is common sense for people who don't engage in any active thought or get stuck in circles in their thought patterns. It could be for them, but I don't struggle with either of those issues. So yeah, that's what I felt about it. Like initially I was still like, okay, I'll keep reading to see what I could find in here, but eventually I was like, this book is giving me nothing. I started tiring of it. There were a couple of good quotes, like a couple of good one-liners in there, like on the very first chapter. Classic signs such as hearing voices, intrusive thoughts, and self-harming aren't the only signs of depression. Just as a light flu can make a whole body hurt, a light depression can make a mind's ache all over. Which I was very much in agreement with. And when this is the opening statement of the book. So I was honestly looking forward to the book, because I was like, if this is the opening statement, this could be a good book. It wasn't. There's another one-liner here which says, because there's really no end to worrying once you set your mind to it. And then there's this one passage in here which says, I am someone who is completely unique in this world, someone I need to take care of for the rest of my life, and therefore someone I need to help take each step forward, warmly and patiently, to allow to rest on some days and to encourage on others. I believe that the more I look into this strange being myself, the more routes I will find to happiness. That I strongly agree with. I highlighted that. So there's a couple of gems in here, thrown about here and there, but overall the book really isn't worth it in my opinion. And the last book I have to talk about, sort of, is Collide by Bal Khabra. This is another sports romance that was on my mind for a while. All of last year I used to keep thinking of getting it, but I never really got into it. I even saw it at the store once and still didn't pick it up for some reason. And then this year I was talking to a friend and she has read Collide, and she said it was pretty nice, and that there's a new book coming out in this series, in the series of Collide. And the second book, I think it's already out maybe, and the book in that has a dancer, a ballerina, and y'all already know my take. You guys already know how I feel about finding dancers in books. I need them, I want to explore them, even though 90% of them are pretty disappointing. Absolutely yes. Do I still reach for them though? Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, I want to see myself in a book. Alright, so anyway, I was like, okay, second book is coming out soon, it has a dancer in it, I will reach for it for sure. So I was like maybe it's time now to get to that book. I read Collide and it was pretty decent. It wasn't bad. Definitely better than Lessons in Faking, that I will say. But again, it wasn't anything fantastic. It wasn't anything new either. It's just a casual read. Honestly, I think I had a better time with the book because I was also rereading Fourth Wing and Iron Flame this month to prepare for Onyx Storm. So I think because I read both those books and they're obviously pretty heavy fantasies. So once I finished reading Iron Flame, I read Collide, and I think it was really nice to get that after reading those two fantasies. So that's also why I had a better experience reading it. I don't know if this is the author's first book ever. If this is her debut, then it's honestly a good attempt. I would say I think the author definitely has a lot of potential to write better romances. If it's a debut, you can tell that it's a debut because the plot isn't very fleshed out, the characters aren't fleshed out. So the entire time you don't understand their motivations. You can see that a certain thing has happened in the plot because that's the natural progression of how a plot should be, and not because the story is taking itself there. And again, like, when I say the characters aren't fleshed out is because for the most part of the book they were being very angsty with each other, but they had no reason to be angsty with each other. Initially, yes, but eventually those two were pretty much friends. They had no reason to not like each other, but the girl especially was being very rigid about the fact that she cannot be with the guy, and we had no reason for that apart from the fact that angst sells, so we're gonna make them angsty. So there were a lot of things happening in the book purely because those things or those tropes sell, that the audience wants, and not because it makes sense in the story. But apart from that, it was still a nice time. I will be reading the second book at least. I don't know about the third, but I will give the second book a chance as well. I always like to recommend these romances as like an in-between book. If you read like heavy mysteries and fantasies, these are perfect books to reach for as palate cleansers and to ground yourself a little bit. So if you want to read Collide, I would recommend as a palate cleanser. Go for it. And with that, we come to the end of the video. That's all the books I read this month. I read 3 new books and 2 rereads. So that's honestly 5 books. But it doesn't matter how many books you read in a month anyway, as long as you soak them in, which I think I did plenty. I think my best reads of the month were Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, honestly. Or there's another book I read. I've been reading another book. I have like 1 chapter left in it, which is why it's not included in this video. It'll be in the Feb wrap-up though. That book was fantastic as well, but I can't talk about it right now because I did not finish it, so ideally I shouldn't. So anyway, those are all the books I read this month, but I think Feb is gonna be exciting because Onyx Storm is here. I got my copy. I'm gonna read it tonight. I'm so excited. So we have Onyx Storm to look forward to, and I have a couple of really great books I aim to read just for the summer: Bear Town and The Poppy War and Circe this month for sure. Like, those are 4 books I am absolutely definitely getting to come hell or high water. So I feel like Feb is gonna be an exciting month. But yeah, that is what my January looked like. Let me know what your month looked like. What did you read? First month of the year. What was the first book you picked up? Was it good? Was it average? Was it forgettable like mine was? Let me know. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.